I received an enormous amount of support from you, even from people that I wouldn't expect that. And I have to say thank you to each and everyone for kind words and this feedback that I had about the situation that I described in my last post. Gave me an enormous amount of support and belief in myself. Because, you know, over these years, I realized how things like what happened, and not one time, but several times, especially, how it affects life of a person, of a woman. And, you know, I was thinking a lot about me not speaking up about that, and I heard other stories also. There were some journalist investigations about victims of sexual abuse, and but usually the victims of the abuse, they preferred to stay anonymous, or they would not speak up, probably because they were afraid that they would be chased by the predators or people who raped them and whatever. But I think that part of the thing here, when you speak up about these things, you empower yourself and you take your power back, as I would advise women to do that, because they take their power back by speaking up about what happened to them. Believe it or not, when I was 17 and that happened to me the first time, that was probably the most cruel way of rape, I would say. It's sort of like under disguise of I'm doing good for you, and a lot of there was a lot of deceit there, and I was 17 years old. I was quite scared of things. That was my first trip outside of the country. And I was shocked. There was a lot of tears. There was a lot of fear. And I think at that time I did not understand what was happening to me. And I thought that I do something wrong. I thought that it's my fault. I was incredibly ashamed of, telling about that. And I kept silent for at least 5 years, which I never talked to anybody. And I remember when I got back home, I had severe nightmares, and I don't know how I survived, because, again, my brain decided to dissociate at the time, and most of the things that I remember, I don't remember. It's like covered with fog, and I think that the body response also, and the brain response was freezing most of the time, and sort of like being in shock. I think that case that year, many years ago, was the case that affected me in the long term really much. That I, unfortunately, by nature, I am, because a person I was abused, emotionally abused, when I was a kid, which, please, I don't, if my family listens to that, I'm not blaming anybody, and just saying the facts. And I was vulnerable to the predators. and up till recently. And I thought that whenever people came to me, and I thought that I felt very uncomfortable around them. I felt that they are superior to me, that I am not allowed to speak up or to say a word, that I'm stupid, that I'm not worthy even talking to them because I don't know nothing and they know everything, and this type of thing, that low self-esteem, because the self-esteem was so low and still is at times, that after the first incident many years ago, my self-esteem got down the floor level. So I thought that I'm not deserving any better. And the craziest thing is that I thought that it's normal. I thought that violence is normal, and which is not. Now I understand that, and I don't know how it was possible that I could not even experience could not even express any anger or any sort of sadness or frustration or whatever. It's like, when something happens to you and you are in shock, you don't really think about anything. You try to shut yourself down and shut your whole memories down, because your brain prefers not to, in order to protect itself from stress. You sort of get numb, and it's like under anesthetic, and you're not able to cry much, you're not able to analyze things, you're not able to go and look at things at perspective, which I am starting to do this now. Of course, I'm in therapy, and I had been in therapy before for 2 years, I think. Now I'm back into therapy, but with a psychiatrist and not with a psychotherapist, which helps, but it's very difficult to get out of this. And the only thing is that I realized recently, because I had several insights, and I'm a person who really kind of thinks a lot about what's happened and try to analyze things, and I realized that I never want to be a victim anymore, and I don't want to be a victim anymore. I probably the post that I wrote was not to generate some sort of I'm so poor, you have to just say how like support me because I'm so. That was not the reason for it, because from like a month or two ago, I realized that I'm not a victim at all. That I'm not a victim, and then I was tired. I eventually got tired, fed up with not being able to speak on camera to people who hurt me, because I thought that it's useless. It doesn't make any sense. But I was thinking to speak up for a long time, and I couldn't find the courage for it. Now I have the courage for it. I am not afraid of any negative response or any response from people who abused me, because I know if I would tell lies, I wouldn't even stand up. I wouldn't even talk about it. It's not to convince you that I am telling the truth. It's just saying that all women who are abused, and no matter who, no matter which type of kind of relationship they are in, they must stand up for themselves. They must speak up. They must run far away. You know, this is bullet I have. I told you, some of you know that I have a bullet here that we picked up in near West Kilimanjaro on the hill, call it Ammunition Hill, from the World War I. Germans fighting. In West Kilimanjaro, in the slopes of West Kilimanjaro. That bullet is representing the strength, and I believe that every single woman, when she stands up for herself and be strong like a bullet, automatically she will get this feeling of empowerment and take control. Get back control. Get back her control over the situation, over the past, who may haunt her or whatever. And that's very important. And I am ready to speak up and keep talking about it and keep witnessing this, because I think that this is a very important subject, and I think that us as women and we have to encourage each other to stand up. Okay, so that's all I wanted to say. That's my first time on camera, and I thank you so much for your attention. I may go online again and talk about some other things, because I don't want to be negative all the time, but I have a lot to say, and